I don't know what that noise was, but welcome to Crossing the Streams.
Ooh, that was fancy. Woo.
Yeah, whoa. This is episode 147 of Crossing the Streams. Howard Rosner, OG CTS host, is joining us on Instagram. Hello, Howard. Say hello. And then when we got everyone's a returning friend of the show. This is amazing. Crossing the Streams, where we answer the universal question, what should I be binge watching next? I just watched something, and now I got to watch something else. What should that be? Well, you've come to the right place. We have over 146 hours of binge watching suggestions just awaiting for you on our YouTube channel. So exciting. This is episode 147. Is that right? It doesn't even sound right. How have we been doing this so long? Incredible. And returning, Wize is here. Wait, is this your only second time here? Have you been here more than that?
No, maybe this might be the third time. I'm not sure. I think it's probably the second.
Well, welcome back. It's good to have you. I know it's been too long. That's my point. It's been too long. And Wize is a good pal of mine. We go way back. Wize, tell everyone about your podcast and where they can, give the 1 minute commercial.
You check it. You find out Stuck in My Mind podcast on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple, all the regulars. And then you can get us also. The YouTube channel is Stuck in My Mind podcast. Website is www.stuckinmymindpodcast.com. Yeah. And I'm up to episode 227.
227. That's pretty hot. What do we got? We got Jerry's in the house. What's up, Jerry? We got Lee. Lee is here. What's going on, everybody? And of course, we got Larry Roberts, the king of the 80s, is back. I think we're going deeper than the 80s today with Larry. But Larry, welcome back. Tell everyone about your red hat.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So Larry Roberts, I think this is about my sixth time on the show.
Yeah, I lost track. That's a good sign.
I still haven't had Larry on my show yet.
We've talked about it, dude. We just got to make it happen.
Get a room, boys. Get a room.
Your calendar link will make it happen. But back to me for a minute. Will, you've had your time. No, it's Larry Roberts. I'm the CEO and founder of Red Hat Media, where we are shaping the future of brand storytelling with podcasting, branding, and innovative AI solutions. You can find all things about me and my company at LarryRoberts.com.
All right. I like when you go into your infomercial voice.
There you go.
Every time I go to make a video or something, my marketing person goes, can you do it without your radio voice? I'm like, what radio voice?
Like, what radio voice are you talking
about?
What
are you talking about? This is how I talk. They're like, that's not how you talk. I'm like, this is how I talk. If you put me in front of a microphone, this is just what comes out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know how to okay. Hello.
I don't know how to turn it off. No, not at all.
Next up is now. I'm either radio voice or deep NPR and intro. Zack Wiseman is back for the 150th time.
Yep.
Hello, Zack. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm not doing anything right now, so I'm just looking to gather some podcasts and gather some shows to ingest. So I'm really glad to be on with Wize again. Actually, Wize, I think this is your third time because I was on a show once with you on here too. So
it might be my third time. It's just I'm not a regular. Jeff has his regulars that he always invites. I guess he felt sorry for me this week and was like, "What you doing, buddy?"
Yeah, being a regular really is just filling a hole. So I usually fill holes.
No, it's really just it's not. It's really not that. You're always welcome. I tell everyone, just tell me if you want to come on. We can make it happen. It's that easy. It's that easy.
And I tell you all the time, I'm like, I'm on your show tonight. I'm talking about this.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just making sure everything. Oh, I see what's going on here. I was just
this is a segment where Jeff checks in with Instagram.
I was testing that and making sure the Instagram was working. So we got 18 folks at least on one channel at least.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, it's like crazy. It's like we're breaking the internet. It's so cool. Comment along. I wasn't texting. I was testing.
Oh, he's
to make
he's
sure.
always figuring out
I
how
was-
to text.
I was I got so let me check in. I just finished season 6 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which
Ooh.
by the way is I always loved Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I stopped watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine at some point. You remember it got canceled and then it came back, and so I kind of lost track of it. But Brooklyn Nine-Nine is by far one of the greatest comedies ever. I'd put it right up in the top 10 of funniest shows ever. So I'm gonna continue to keep watching it, do a full report.
Top 10?
Easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Easy
Yeah.
10?
As a matter of fact, anytime I go anywhere now and I go Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there's at least someone there that is obsessed with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The jokes, the characters, the way they bring stuff back. It's just the relationships between all those characters.
Top
There
10
is-
though?
It is top
Isn't
10.
that Sandberg? Is that?
Andy Samberg, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
wow.
telling you, it's right up there. I'm right up there. Nah, I mean, you going, oh, you mean with Lucy? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just
No,
let's say
I'm
modern.
trying to
Let's say
think of 10 other
This
shows
is
that I
your
know.
personal preference. It's not like you said to you. You said it was one of the top.
Yeah, to me, it's like I would put Parks and Rec in the top. Is one of the funniest shows. If you can watch,
Yeah,
like,
it's more of a yeah. Like,
what
there's
are
other
your
people that
favorite
would-
shows? Like, list 2 comedies that you love.
Arrested Development, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay,
those easy ones.
now I would go and challenge you that Arrested Development, the only
It was too short.
great season, the only great Arrested Development is
three.
season 1.
First,
No,
yeah.
first 3.
No, you could
First
if
3.
you watch,
Four's
but you have to admit when you watch Arrested Development, it trails off. The second
When I watched
season is
Arrested
not as
Development,
good
I
as the
put on-
first, and the third is not
No.
as good as
Nope.
that. But the
Nope. When I
first
put on
season
Arrested Development,
is one
I
of
put
the
on
best
season 2
seasons
first.
ever.
But see, there's a show that I laugh harder at than anything else, and it's What We Do in the Shadows.
I love that show.
Oh, I love
Phenomenal
that
show.
It's funny.
It's an amazing show. I laugh,
Phenomenal show.
belly laugh every episode. I love that freaking show, and it's very hard for shows to top that, in my opinion.
I
Ted
will tell you-
Lasso,
Yeah, Ted was good for the first couple of seasons.
that blockbuster show.
Well, I think Ted Lasso was a great show. I think it'll always be in my top 20 of most enjoyed shows.
Yeah.
But in terms of like hilarious comedies,
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you think of some of the Ted Lasso moments that are the best Ted Lasso moments, it's not the funny moments. Like I can watch that dart throwing scene. You could
Oh,
play
yeah.
it 1,000 times in a row, and I could watch it 1,000 times in a row. It's not funny. It's touching.
Mm.
They in terms of character development, yes, that is great. But in terms of like just hilariously laughing all the time, I think by the time you got to the end of Ted Lasso, I was
Lassoed out.
a little less.
It's over. I mean, if we
out.
do season, do they call it at season 3? Is the show? Is it?
Yeah,
a
it's over. It's over.
Okay.
I always loved it, and it's great. But What We Do in the Shadows, I met Harvey, Guillermo.
Guillermo?
Guillermo. I met him at a Comic-Con, and my biggest bummer was that Natasha was supposed to be there also.
Oh,
and I was literally, I've never done this, but I was gonna pay to get the picture with both.
Yeah.
And then she couldn't make it. I think she is the best.
She's the best character, honestly. She is.
Matt Berry is hilarious on that show too.
Of course.
Laszlo.
Laszlo and Naja, they are the power couple of this decade. They're just amazing together.
Hat tip to Bob Phillips, who reviewed it on the show, which
Okay.
is what kind of got me to watch it. So it was very cool. So all right. So
Best.
all right. Did everyone cover a comedy? I don't know.
No. But for me, it would have probably been it's always gonna be Seinfeld. This was gonna be to me, it was one of the greatest.
Seinfeld is a classic, right up there with Curb, which is what Zack ended. And I hear that it ended really well. Curb.
I'm probably gonna get booted off the show here, but I have never watched Seinfeld.
How are you? You've never watched Seinfeld? You're of the age.
I know, but I never watched it. And I mean, if you even look at stuff like Friends, I didn't watch Friends until it was in syndication. I never watched it when it was on. Maybe I need to go back and check out Seinfeld and see what it's all about.
Oh.
I mean, I've seen clips, and the clips are always good. but I've never see what all this fuss is
Well,
about.
the masturbation episode is going to be the greatest. Too.
Honestly,
Yeah, Seinfeld is great. Seinfeld is great. Mad
Spoiler,
About
there's a-
You.
there's a
Man, I
big
love
salad.
Mad About You.
Oh yeah,
That's a
man.
good
Mad
show.
About You was good. And what's just Jack? Will and Grace. I loved
Will
Will
and
and Grace. I thought that was a great show, man. I loved that show. And I refused to watch it. My wife made me watch it, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was one of the best shows I'd seen in a long time. Freaking Karen is amazing.
Man. All right, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. So last week, what did we talk about? Last week we talked about, oh, there we go. Last week we talked about the Goonies. I bet Larry wishes he was here last week.
Yes, that
And Clueless. That was definitely and Fargo season 5, which I since started watching, and it is actually very good. And then Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. Talked about all those classics. Today we're going to talk about the Fall Guy, the TV show, not the Ryan Gosling remake. We got Steve Martin, a documentary in 2 parts, 7 Samurai, and Monkey Man. Let's kick things off with the Monkey Man. I've heard many. I don't know what's wrong with me and my clicking today. Let's talk about Monkey Man. I heard this debuted at like South by Southwest. There's a really cool story behind it. I am looking forward to hearing you talk about this.
Yeah.
Zack.
Okay, so obviously I don't want to spoil this movie because it just came out. So I'm going to try to tread lightly here because I'm going to tell you what this movie is not, right? A lot of for some reason the word is out there that this is just John Wick in India or John Wick in a monkey mask. Bro, it is not. This is John Wick the same way like an acorn is an oak tree. Like, yeah, there is a guy and he wears a suit and he has a little bit of revenge, but that is not what this movie is about. Now, IMDb has like the click on what this thing is. It says an anonymous young man unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systematically victimize the poor and powerless. I could not write a better phrase for what this movie is about. This movie is Dev Patel's love letter. I was going to say India, although I think it was filmed in Indonesia, but you can tell that Dev Patel cares so much about the things that he is talking about here. John Wick is just a revenge story about a dude who's pretty upset and wants out of the biz. That's all it is. Long revenge and push revenge. This movie, the first half an hour is kind of that. Now, Dev Patel plays an unknown character. They end up calling him Bobby because of this product bleach that he's standing in front of. But mostly he's just like the Monkey Man or the reinterpretation of Hanuman, which is the Monkey King. You get a lot of cool graphics about what the Monkey King kind of envisions and why the people follow the Monkey King and believe in the Monkey King. And Dev Patel, you learn through his story that when he was younger, he lost his mom to very bad people, right? Very bad people. And they came into town, did some really bad stuff. And they literally like murdered his mom. I'm trying very hard to like not say a lot of like important things about the movie. They murder his mom in front of him. And this kid grows up to just understand pain only. So when you catch up with him in the future, he's actually a kind of a cage fighter that is in this fixed match, and he's supposed to lose on purpose because all that he really understands at this moment is pain. He can be hit over and over again. He knows when to go down, and this dude just enjoys pain. Now, once again, that first half an hour, you get that awesome revenge thing, and then this beautiful scene happens in the bathroom. Then the movie just comes to a grinding halt and reestablishes itself. And then you get the whirlwind of characters in here. Now, once again, I said this is stars Dev Patel. It's actually co-written and directed by Dev Patel. This is his directorial debut. And you can tell a couple times throughout the movie that there is first-timer stuff. There's a couple of needle drops that you're like, that was real on the nose. There's a couple like shots that are beautiful shots, but they kind of linger a little bit too long, and you're like, all right, come on, let's keep going. And to me, the worst part about this is shaky cam. When you get to some really elaborate and beautifully choreographed fight scenes, you get some real wild shaky cam. And I'm like, this would be gorgeous if I could see what was going on. Outside of that, this is one of the most beautiful and inspirational tales that I've ever seen. This is a character that we don't even know his real name, and it does not matter. This guy is on a mission, and then he meets a community of people that are more downtrodden than him, that are more broken, that are more shunned and looked over, and they embrace him. Some things I found out about this, and actually the very first fight scene that Dev Patel filmed, he broke his hand. So they had to kind of restructure how the thing was going, and they had to take a break in a little bit to, for his hand to heal. Because they filmed this in what he wanted was the most authentic thing. There's actually a scene where he has to have his eyes open in this dirty water, which ended up causing him to get like an eye infection that has shut down production for a while. But he really gives it his all. And I'll say the thing that I went into it was I wanted an awesome action movie. I wanted beautiful choreographed scenes. I wanted long, gorgeous takes, and I wanted beautiful Dev Patel to give me an inspirational story. I left there weeping and telling people, you need to see this movie right now. Granted, it is not John Wick. Don't think you're going to go into a movie from start to finish and get nonstop action. But what you will get is a little bit of inspiration, some beautiful stories that I did not know. I like movies that are about the Monkey King, but clearly that's not my culture. That's not my religion. So it's only really an outsider's knowledge of that. So anytime somebody with actual passion presents me a story of their culture, something that they're passionate about, I just have to latch onto it. And it's not just content for content's sake. You can tell that Dev Patel needed things to be in this movie. Like there's a beautiful part of the plot line is this shunned transgender community that it get beaten up by the cops and pushed to different parts of town, and like they're part of the group that rescues him and teaches him how to not feel pain, but to find a reason to purpose this pain. And it turns into an avenging story more than a revenging story. And I have to really it's odd that Jeff's not here. I've never seen that happen before.
I don't think he likes this movie.
What's that?
I said I don't think he likes the movie. He's like, dude, I'm totally out of this.
I got to get out of here for that. So co-written by Dev Patel, also with John Colley. If you don't know who John Colley is, he actually co-wrote Master and Commander and Hotel Mumbai. So he's got this beautiful way of kind of putting together great conversations with beautiful scopes. You also have a really weird, like, I want to say a cameo, although it is a purposeful part, but Sharto Copley from District 9, he plays this really interesting character in here, and I always love that guy. He's got that cool South African accent. So every time he's on screen, you're like, all right, I'm going to pay attention to this guy. But no, this movie is top tier, like inspirational, great action, and just a beautiful story with a great bad guy, a cool twist of an ending, and some really cool culture that I think people need to pay more attention to.
Amazing. What happened? I just disappeared. My
Yes.
StreamYard just said it just went, something went wrong. Like, I'm surprised that the whole thing didn't shut down.
Yeah. Instagram told me that you were over there, so I clicked onto that instead.
No, it was weird. The whole screen just went, sorry, something went wrong. I'm like, really?
Super intuitive. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything that you were just a part of, you can no longer see, hear, or who knows if it's even live. By the way, something may be wrong. Hit reload. Thank you. Appreciate that, StreamYard. It's amazing. It's amazing to me that this film almost didn't even get seen.
Yeah.
Like that.
Now, Monkey Paw Productions, which is Jordan Peele's company, he really got behind this and really pushed Dev Patel in his first thing. So, but yeah, this won like the audience award at South by Southwest. I think that the trailers and the initial review of what it is misleading. It is not John Wick. Like, it's not. It's just not. It is better and it's beautiful. But yeah, I would really expect a great story, and I'm glad that it got put out there because I love original content. I love original IP. I like people trying to create stories to make people talk instead of just giving me another stupid Gray Man or some boring Netflix dribble.
So the
yeah.
Monkey Man is not a reboot of Planet of the Apes.
No.
No.
Marky
You know,
Mark
if you
was-
were here on your own show, Jeff, you would know what this movie was about.
I was joking because we were talking about everything's a reboot.
Yeah. Not this.
So
Not this.
yeah. So I mean, Netflix made it, and then Jordan Peele got the other company to pay $10 million for it. It's a great story.
Yeah.
Thank you for reviewing it. I can't wait. That is one I definitely want to see.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah, Zack made me want to check it out.
So good.
So keeping in line with the theme of originals and things that are being rebooted, let's talk about the original Fall Guy. I just couldn't find one. We're not going to talk about just the second season. Just focus on the second season, Wise. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but the reason I chose it, right, is because I seen the reboot, the remake, the movie, whatever, and I just commented on like, here we go, they're gonna ruin another, and the trolls just attacked me. They just went wild, like, oh, look at your old ass and all this stuff, complaining about
Okay,
rebooting another movie.
Yeah.
So I just and I get it, but the same, like, he's not even a bounty hunter. He's just a stunt man, and the only same thing that is his name, Colt Seavers, but it's nothing like the series. The movie is nothing like the series. In the series, you had Lee Majors play Colt Seavers, who was stunt man by day, bounty hunter by night. Him and his cousin Howie, and then you had Marky Post was the person who got him the jobs, and then you had what's her name?
Heather Thomas.
Blonde. Heather Thomas, yes, the blonde.
I had her on my wall.
Yes.
Just before we get letters, he means a poster.
Oh yeah, I didn't have this on the wall.
We did not kidnap
It was
Heather
like,
Thomas and attach her to his wall. There's nothing. I mean, he looks like he would with that basement background, but that's why I had to clarify. That's why I had to make sure that everyone.
It was not in
understood.
my dungeon or my red room of pain.
Right.
Get those references.
So yeah, so that's the reason I chose, because I used to love watching. I would make sure I tuned in every week when they aired, and to me it was just a great show. He stunt man, and then every time he went after Bonnie, he just did a magnificent stunt while he was chasing the guy, whoever it was.
So, what is your favorite Lee Majors? Do you prefer him as Colt or as the $6 million man?
Oh man. Well, Colt Seavers was more my time, because the $1 Million Man is more. I was born in the 70s, but it was in the 70s, and it was a little. So I caught it more in syndication. But Fall Guy, I watched the Fall Guy weekly. I remember weekly tuning in to watch the Fall Guy.
Yeah. I remember loving the Fall Guy. I used to tell people I wanted to be a stuntman because I love the Fall Guy so much. I would just like run out in the street and just run into cars and be like, oh, look, I'm going to be a Fall Guy when I'm older. Like, I was an idiot, but it was because of Fall Guy. I'm like, I got to jump off in a helicopter now.
I mean, I'm sure I broke my arm because of the Fall Guy. Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, it could jump in my bike, and we're singing the song and
taking ramps and everything. Yeah,
it's insane. I mean, that whole show just embodies the 80s. It's
embodies what we were. Wow, we took risk.
Yeah.
We were outside and actually take risk.
Jumping off of roofs and doing just the most ignorant stuff,
stupid stuff. Yeah.
And here I go on my boomer tangent. You just don't see kids doing stuff like that anymore. Stupid stuff. But they don't do it the way we did.
It's funny because we talk about it, like all the crazy shit we did, and then we complain that, damn, these kids don't do any of the stuff we did.
Yeah. I mean, they eat Tide Pods, and
okay, all right.
We were trying to
make Tide Pods
out of mason jar.
Ron brings up a good point. Lee Major is singing the Unknown Stuntman.
100%.
And by the way, trivia, when they heard the demo tape of him singing that, that's when they greenlit the show. They were unsure up until that point. And so okay, what how many examples? I mean, other than All in the Family, did the star or someone in the show sing the theme song?
American Dad.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, but American Dad, he's just very talented
I'm just
all
kidding.
around.
I don't know why
Just,
that came
yeah.
to my brain.
The most famous and obvious is I think All in the Family.
Yeah, All in the Family.
Yes.
Sure. I can't even really come up with another one other than those two.
Oh well, Frasier.
Oh yeah, Freight. Well,
Oh, yeah.
That's
Tossed
the end.
salad and-
Lee Majors sang the
The original,
the
yeah.
Bionic Man too. He was the one going.
Did he?
I'm breaking up. I can't hold it.
Okay, and then let's talk about the new Fall Guy movie that you mentioned,
Yes,
which
Ryan
drives me
Gosling.
crazy. It's like just
Mm.
make a movie about a stuntman. If you have Ryan Gosling, do you really need the IP of the Fall Guy? It's
That's a
Yes,
good
because
name,
of
though.
Ryan
Fall.
Gosling is not an action star. Why he has this role and why he even was Ken in the Barbie movie, it still just frustrates the living daylights out of me. He was not a good Ken. He doesn't have
What?
a square jaw. He doesn't look like Ken. He doesn't have broad shoulders. He's got a great physique. He's chiseled, but he's narrow as all get out. He's got a little pointy elf chin. He's not a Ken. It made no sense to me whatsoever. And he dang sure ain't some super tough 80s stunt guy that hunts people down like Dog the Bounty Hunter in his off time. He's just a frail little guy. What is he? 5'6", about $1.25? Sure, he's shredded, but he's not. I'm
Whoa.
exaggerating. I know he's probably bigger than that, but he's still he's not that 185-pound, 6'2", arms of steel kind of stunt guy, manly macho man, or even a Ken. He just doesn't have. The
You don't look at him and he does not scream stuntman. He screams leading man.
He screams The Notebook. He did a great job there. Nice little effeminate male.
La La Land. He saved jazz.
He's great. He's great there. But
Okay. He's great in everything. He's not just some kind of
he's talented. He can
I'm
act.
sorry, but
man or
him
something.
singing "I'm Just Ken" at the Oscars
That's
was
great.
one of the greatest Oscar moments of all time.
Oh, I couldn't bring myself.
He was
to
a
watch it.
great Ken. He was great in Blade Runner. He's great in literally everything that he's been in since
He's
the
delightful.
Notebook.
He is
And
delightful.
what does a stuntman look like except for the person that you're stunting for? So he doesn't need to look like anything to be a stuntman.
No.
He just got to be able to take that fall.
He's got to be $180, $185, about 6 feet tall.
Nice.
Missed some
hair,
teeth.
nice
Missed
how
some
the-
teeth. A couple of scars.
Yeah, a couple scars, maybe. He just needs to look good in a muscle shirt or maybe a half shirt. You know what I mean? So abs show. He needs to look tough. You pick somebody from the UFC, and that's what a stunt guy should look like, and that's why Connor crushed it in Roadhouse. And with that statement,
Roadhouse, another unnecessary remake when you could
how
have just
dare
made a movie about a tough guy.
Yeah,
No,
nobody knows anything about Roadhouse. People didn't know that Roadhouse wasn't the name of the place. No one knows why it was called Roadhouse.
you
No
out
one
of your
knows what a
mind?
cooler is. No,
the Roadhouse was the defining moment of my childhood. I mean, that I built my entire life around Roadhouse, literally.
But you understand why they had to call the bar Roadhouse in this new movie, because nobody understands what a roadhouse is, because it doesn't make any sense. No one understands what a cooler is, because it doesn't make any sense. No one understands how to Tai Chi fight, because it doesn't make any sense. Roadhouse was a terrible movie, and it is a terrible movie
Oh,
now.
stop. No, the state, it's so quotable. It's one of the most quotable movies in the existence of film. It has so many amazing lines. It's
outside of A Polar Bear Fell on Me, it is not that great of a movie.
Oh my God, no.
Also, Ryan Gosling is 200 pounds and 6 foot nothing, so he's a beautiful man and a perfect size for just about anything that I need him for.
He is a beautiful man. I'll give you that. But I just don't associate beauty with toughness. They're not synonymous. It's two entirely different ends of the spectrum there.
So he's
And
not
I'm
good enough to
sitting
be
here
Ken,
thinking-
but he's too good looking enough to be a stuntman.
Probably.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what are do you have any favorite TV reboots? I have one favorite, the Brady Bunch, the original Brady Bunch movie. I thought was brilliant. But Do you guys have any like, or what if they're like your one that you just thought they destroyed the original, like the Beverly Hillbillies?
Yeah, that was rough. No, I can't think of anything.
I'm gonna say literally every single one has let me down, because what people do reboots and remakes for is they go for nostalgia bait instead of understanding what it was that people liked about the thing to begin with. Like James Cameron said it best when he took over Aliens. He was like, I don't want to make a movie that I think is good. There is a fan base. I have to understand what they like and put my spin on it. And that's what people don't do. They go for name grabs. They go for remember that, instead of why. Like if you would put out Greatest American Hero right now, it could work. But the problem is you're going to get nothing but nonstop nostalgia grabs from the show instead of understanding that the show didn't have nostalgia grabs. The show taught us something about these characters, even these people. So I don't think remakes should ever be done. I think it's dumb. Make something new. Like make something new or add on to the story. Don't just resell it and put it in a new package and make it a little bit smaller and sell it to me for a couple more dollars. I don't need that.
We don't need that.
We'll need it.
Ain't nobody got
All
time for that.
Not
You
at
know,
all.
you know what we do need? I'll tell you what we do need is Larry Roberts' Seven Samurai review.
Oh, this will be fun. This will be fun. Yeah, I love this movie. I was introduced to this movie. I don't know. I was probably around 14, 15 years old. Was always a big martial arts guy and a gentleman that lived in the trailer park where I grew up. He was also a big martial arts guy, and he had this movie on VHS. He said, "Come over, let's watch Seven Samurai." Completely innocent, but
This is the guy who had Heather Thomas on his wall.
he did not want to show me his sword. He really just wanted to show me the movie. So it's cool. So we watched the movie and I was like, this is amazing. And he ended up gifting me the 2 VHS cassettes that I still have today. So it's really kind of cool. I doubt it would play. I don't know, but maybe they would. Who knows? The tracking's probably a little off these days. If you're old enough to get that reference, you'll understand. But I was inspired to talk about this tonight because we're sitting here, we're complaining about remakes, but the remake that's out right now that inspired this discussion tonight is Shogun. So I don't know if anybody has talked about Shogun on your show as of yet, but just real quick, I think it's amazing. It is quite a bit different than the original version. It's missing some key components that really resonated with me as a pup. It has 0 ninjas, which is complete bullshit. I don't know if I can say that on this show, but you got to have ninjas if you're going to have samurai. It's part for the course. And they did have ninjas in the original one, but they changed the ninjas to a female assassin in this version of Shogun. But anyways, the show's doing extremely well. It's very well produced, very well done. I mean, it's great show to watch. But it reminded me somewhat of the Seven Samurai. And so I picked that one to talk about today. So if you've watched Shogun and you're enjoying what you have there, I think you would love this movie as well. A lot of the current Shogun is subtitled because they do speak Japanese in the show. And probably, I'd say 75, maybe even more % of the show is in subtitles because it is in Japanese. And it's the same with the Seven Samurai. The Seven Samurai was originally made in 1954, and it's an epic samurai action flick that was directed and edited, and I think co-written too, by Akira Kurosawa. Kurosawa is known for his samurai films. He did more than just this one, but I mean, he really set the stage for high-quality samurai films back in the day. And the entire show is set in the 1500s. And it's set in a small village, a very poor village. It's really just a bunch of farmers. And they are on set by a group of brigands, and they are demanding their harvest. So they want to take their food, and what they have in the fields, that's literally all they have is food. And they use the food for trading for other goods and services. So without their harvest, they're toast. They're going to starve to death. They're going to go without. So they're in desperate need of someone to help them fight off these brigands. So they end up going into town, and they're trying to hunt down some samurai to help fight off these bad guys. And the only thing they have to pay these samurai with is rice. So in an era where the samurai were super respected, I mean, they were at the pinnacle of their height during this era, and most of them were for hire, but only to, top dollar. They were the cat daddies back then, and to offer them just rice in payment for their services really didn't seem like it was going to work out for them. But after a lot of begging. And the thing about this movie that really resonated, especially as a kid, is the emotion that's in the movie. I mean, everything is super emotional. It's super dramatic. I mean, the facial expressions of the actors in this film, I mean, they really just tear at your soul. You really truly feel bad for these people and you want to help. I mean, I want to grab my katana and I want to jump in there and slice and dice these brigands to save these people from the inevitable future that, if these brigands take over, is going to happen. But after some begging, after some denials, samurai telling no, even some of them took a couple of ass whoopings en route trying to get these samurai to come to work for them. The samurai were too proud and they might kick them around a little bit. They finally find someone that will help them put together a band of 7 samurai. And each of these samurai are very, very unique in what they bring to the table. The first guy that they found, he is really the wise leader. If you really want to relate it to somebody, he's kind of like Master Shredder from the Ninja Turtles would be this one samurai that they hire first, because he's just very noble and he's very wise and he's very calm and he's very measured in all of his approaches, and he helps them find the remaining samurai. And they find one that's an amazing archer. They find one that's got an amazing, super talented with the katana. I mean, he's one of the fastest blades in Japan at the time. And they find someone that is played by Toshiro Mifune, who, if you're familiar with samurai movies, he's in just about all of them, but he plays this amazing over the top, he's kind of a, I can't think, what do you call him? A Ronin. He's basically a Ronin. He has no master, and he's really just dirty, and he's gruff, and he doesn't really have a whole lot of honor to him, especially from a samurai perspective. And he carries around this massive, oversized, and it's a battlefield katana. It's not the normal size katana that the samurai typically wear in their belt. This thing's like 5 feet long. I mean, it is like Braveheart's sword, but in the form of a katana. And he kind of makes the film. I mean, he honestly does, because not only is he dramatic and gruff, but he also provides some comic relief as well. So it's always fun, because he doesn't really fit in with the other 6 samurai, because they're all very refined and they're very, they do everything based on honor and nobility. And he just doesn't care. He's just there to slice and dice and have some fun.
Well, it also inspired the Magnificent Seven, the old Western.
It inspired everyone's favorite movies.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is the foundation of action movies, in all honesty. Yeah. And the Magnificent Seven, right there, the exact same thing. It was essentially did any of the samurai sing a theme? They didn't. Well, actually, when I think about it, Toshiro Mifune, the Wild, he was humming quite a bit. He did have a bit of a tune that he would hum. I don't recall if it had any real rhythm to it, but he was humming quite a bit during the film. And it's a long movie. I mean, this thing runs about 3.5 hours. So if you're going to watch it, you might want to break it up into 2 parts, or, block off a Saturday or Sunday afternoon and have some fun with it there. But they end up going to war. They bring the 7 samurai in, and they slice and dice, and they get rid of all the brigands. They finally run everybody off, and they save the village. But in doing so, they lose several of their comrades, as well as several of the villagers as well. And the thing that makes this thing such a poignant movie is that although they win in the end, it ends on a more, and I'm going to use poignant twice in one paragraph, apparently. It ends on a more poignant note, and they're really dwelling on the fact that although they won, they had to pay a significant price, and it really leaves you going, okay, wow, we do need to fight, and we may win, but along that pathway, we're going to have some losses that come to us as well. And in life, we can look at that in a variety of different ways and decide whether or not some of these battles that we choose to fight, are they really worth it? In this case, they didn't have any choice. They had to fight. And at some time in our life, there's going to be that point where we all have to choose to fight. And although we might win, it may not be as rewarding as we hope. So I loved it. I think it's an amazing movie. I've probably watched it, I don't know, a dozen times over the years. It has been a while since I have watched it. And in putting this review together, I think this weekend, I'm probably going to have to bust it out and find it someplace to stream. So if you have the opportunity, check it out. 7 Samurai. It's a lot of fun.
To answer Jerry's question, there is a solid previously on in the very beginning of it, so you won't miss much if you miss the first 6. That's fine.
All right, let's hit up the final thing. There's a new documentary called Steve Martin, a documentary in 2 pieces. So, have you guys seen this documentary?
I have not.
No.
Do you know who Steve Martin is?
I'm familiar
Of
with him. Yeah,
course.
I've seen his
I
work.
take his master class.
So I love Steve Martin. Like I have this. This is on my wall. Him on the Rolling Stone. I have it framed,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
it's like I have his LPs. I learned to juggle because of Steve Martin. I thought he was so hilarious as a juggler. I taught myself to juggle. There's just some jokes of his that I think are the best jokes ever, and I'll tell you which ones they are right now. They are. There's just things that stuck in my head forever. Where he goes, he's talking about France. He goes, "Ouf means egg. Chapeau means hat." It's like those French have a different word for everything, right? And then there's another line he goes, I do a lot of work with single mothers. I help them get their start. And think about that, what I just said. It's the funniest thing you'll ever hear. I do a lot of work with single mothers. I help them get their start. Okay, so it's one of those lines where it sounds like something completely different than what he actually said, but it actually is hilarious. Did everyone catch it?
I caught it.
I don't think Wize got it.
I did. Of course.
We'll do it one more time for Wize. No, just kidding. This is on Apple TV. It is, as it's in the title, a documentary in 2 parts. This is by A24, who is one of Zack's favorite movie companies.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because it's 2 episodes and they're each an hour and 37 minutes long. So it's just over 3 hours to watch all the Steve Martin you can get. And honestly, it could have gone another hour and a half and not duplicated anything. The first episode is like it's like a visual experience. It's not like it's like they're just showing, I don't want to say animations, but it's just different. It's audio, but they're just creating visuals. It's almost like it's really interesting. And then when they get to the second half, it's what you would think a documentary would be about someone, where it's now Steve Martin now, and they're interviewing him and Martin Short and Jerry Seinfeld and other people about him and his career. And they deep dive into certain movies, but not all of them, and not all of them that I would have wanted to. So that's what I'm saying. There could have been even more. So the first episode dives a lot into his family, and he did not have a good relationship, a loving relationship at all with his father. But what's really interesting when you think about Steve Martin, the people who know only who Steve Martin is now, what's fascinating about the documentary is how it shows you and reminds you that this man lived completely different lives in terms of in the public eye. At one point, he literally was the biggest comedian in the world. Realized that perhaps this approach to comedy has burned itself out, and literally walked away and never did stand up again. Like at 35, he just said, I'm going to do something else now. And then he obviously did. We all know him as, movie Steve Martin. And now he was an author and banjo player making music. And now he's Only Murders in the Building. So it's fascinating. If you only know a little bit about Steve Martin or only know him now, to go and watch the evolution of just his comedy career that he then walked away with and then completely started over in the entertainment business. It's really fascinating. It was definitely a good watch. And it was really cool because the second half, when I finished the first half, I wasn't sure I could sit through another half of that same format, right? Of just kind of the visual pictures and like things coming in and out. But it was almost like 2 different people made this. The same guy made it, but it was like completely different styles, both halves. And it was really unique. I definitely think if you like backstories, I don't think it gets more fascinating than Steve Martin. It's interesting. I was looking at his movie retrospect, and I've always loved Steve Martin, but there's definitely times where I've come in and out of his career. Like I haven't seen everything he's done. You know, it's like there's been certain things. Like I know I saw The Jerk. I know, you know, All of Me. I remember Beck and Bold, and you know, being really. But then there was like I think I really watched Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, The Man with Two Brains. I definitely never saw Pennies from Heaven, which they talk a lot about because it was a bomb. It bombed, and Three Amigos, obviously, kind of a cult classic. Roxanne, I remember being all in on him then. That was a remake, well, of a you know, the classic telling of Cyrano de Bergerac. It was around that time he did Little Shop of Horrors. He was a dentist and one of the greatest parts
musical ever.
And then I love Little Shop of Horrors. I was obsessed with Little Shop of Horrors. I really was.
I was first time.
I still am.
And
yeah.
Well, there's a whole Roger Corman version, and then there's the original version on, you know, the original play. You can watch the movie. You know, you can go see the play. There's like different ways to really enjoy it. And actually,
aren't they redoing it right now? For some reason, I'm thinking that they're redoing it.
I don't know, but I did just find randomly Ariana Grande and Seth MacFarlane doing a duet of Suddenly Seymour.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really good. And then Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is amazing, right? With Michael Caine. And Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is at this time as well. This is like kind of like a Roxanne, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Parenthood. It's like boom, 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 boom.
Follow the Bride. Boom.
Yeah. Well, My Blue Heaven with Rick Moranis.
Which is one of the weirdest sequel movies that nobody knows the sequel ever.
What's it a sequel to?
Goodfellas.
Oh, it is?
He is Henry Hill in that movie. That is a sequel to Goodfellas after he sells out everyone and goes in witness protection. I love My Blue Heaven.
I remember liking My Blue Heaven, but then you had the LA Story, Father of the Bride, and Grand Canyon, and then it started to get a little weirder with House Sitter. Leap of Faith was interesting.
That's good.
But one of the really cool parts of the documentary, the second half, was he had all his scripts in book form on his bookshelf, and he pulled out the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles one and started reading one of the end speech from John Candy. Got a little teary. It was pretty nice. And he was explaining that the original speech was actually really long, you know, where he's explaining his life to Steve Martin and what he's kind of recapping. But Steve Martin is like Bowfinger, you know, he comes back in Father of the Bride 2 and 3. I love Only Murders in the Building. Like, I mean, I never really watched the Pink Panther movies that he redid, but
there's a reason you to watch them.
Yeah, but you know, but he's always doing stuff. So I definitely recommend it. It's a great documentary. It's on Apple. It's like watching two completely different documentaries, but it's really kind of unique how they approach it. Totally.
Yeah, speaking of Steve Martin, a couple years ago, I actually was walking around this thrift shop and I found this one of his books, and it's called Born Standing Up. And I opened it, and it was autographed. I don't know if it was real or not, but it was signed by Steve Martin. I took this book home and I read it front to back, and I was so moved by how intelligent he was about his comedy. That's when I started doing podcasting, because I was like, this guy is so freaking smart. This guy is so passionate about his comedy. And that book is what made me start doing, like, writing comedy down and really putting time into it. Yeah, he's great. The cool thing about Steve Martin too is he's in a band called Steep Canyon Rangers, and they've been touring since 2000. And it was up until around 2008 or 9 that people realized that it was Steve Martin in this band. And if you look at clips of this band, Steep Canyon Rangers, he's phenomenal at the banjo. Like, this guy shreds like a Van Halen, but on but folky banjo. He is one of the most impressive people that has ever existed. So I'm going to check this out literally tonight.
He's extremely talented. And I would say, if you're into Steve Martin and love Martin Short, They have a special together on, I believe it's on
Netflix?
Netflix. It's their
Yeah,
stage
so
show,
good.
two-man stage show. So good.
I'll
So
have to
good.
check that out. I'm a huge Martin Short fan. Always have been. I mean, dating back to the Ed Grimley days, I used to
Grimley.
run around thinking I was Ed Grimley. I did the whole
Yeah.
horn on the head and had my triangle, and I'd run around. It was so stupid. But you have to respect the versatility of somebody like Steve Martin and being able to, like you were saying, restart his career over and over. And I mean, I think that he's so versatile. I think he would be a better fall guy than Ryan Gosling. I think he would crush it.
Definly.
He definitely
looks
has the
short,
physique
Ryan
and the
Gosling.
build. Yeah.
He definitely, yeah.
He's probably not tall enough, I don't think.
Oh man, Gilda and Patricia. Hey, happy birthday, happy belated Patricia.
Wait, it's
So
Patricia's birthday?
it was, I think.
I gotta go.
All right. Well, I think we're done with this episode. A lot of good stuff for everyone to kind of dive into.
Awesome.
We've given the people a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Larry, remind everyone. You're welcome. Remind everyone. Yesterday was Patricia's birthday. I know. Yeah, Facebook is great for keeping up with everyone.
I do it every day. That's how I start my day. I sit down with my brand new monster at my desk, and the first thing I look at are the birthdays on Facebook, and I go wish everybody that I really know happy birthday. And then I go, who are these other people? Do I need to still be friends with them? But anyways. You can find me on all the socials at the Larry Roberts on Facebook. I'm old, so that's where I hang out most of the time, but it's the Larry Roberts everywhere else as well. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm over there also. And then any kind of information you want to find out about me or Red Hat Media, you can find it at LarryRoberts.com.
Awesome. Wize. Plug away.
Well, in the private chat, I put the calendar for you guys to whoever wants to come up on the show.
Got it pulled up. I'll be blocking off some
well,
time.
Well, yeah, I'm full into August, so but you find me at Second My Mind Podcast on all major platforms. Go to the website www.secondmymindpodcast.com. Check us out on YouTube. Yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm on all social medias. You can find me on Facebook.
Awesome. All right. Larry's having some light issues, but that's
Well,
good. I mean, it's better than just completely disappearing like I did.
They're on a timer. I've got my whole house is on the Hue, and they go off every night here, 9:00 Central. So that's what happened the first time. And I think what just happened now was my wife probably went to bed and she turned them all off again. So
Zach, say good night, Zach.
Hey, good night. If you're looking for me, I'm going to be hardcore learning how to hack because I just found this website. It's called jeffisfunny.com. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's this pretty good comedian on there, and he talks some pretty classic conversations. And if you happen to be on there, before I hack and shut this website down, 2 days ago, you're going to see that he had an amazing conversation with Larry Joe Campbell. So get over to jeffisfunny.com before I hack the shit out of this thing and take it down forever.
Larry Joe Campbell is a Detroit guy. It was fun. According to Jim, people would know him from according to Jim. But it's funny when he was on, and I was like, I got to talk about the Orville. I was on season 1 of the Orville. I was just like, I'm obsessed with the Orville. It's like I know everyone knows you from the other show, but we're talking about this.
That's how you do a good remake. That's how you do a remake.
Right. It's just you kind of reinvent the world, this guy doesn't have to be Captain Kirk again for the 5th time. So anyway, thank you for the plug, Zach. Thank you all. Let me turn that off. Thank you all for coming by. Appreciate y'all. And all right, we're gonna say goodnight. Thanks, guys.
Larry, I love this Saved by the Bell shirt you got on. It's so fun.
Thanks, brother.
And that has been Crossing the Streams. This is me doing a live read because I can't use the old thing anymore. We are here every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in every week and you can hear us and everyone else, and we're gonna have a good time. And thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. And we'll see you.